Most of these birds were collected in the early 1900s and from areas such as the Noises Islands, Tiritiri Mātangi, Shakespeare's Cliff. So these birds have been in the collection for a long time. And in those days, museum staff went out and shot the birds. Yep, and it was accepted practice. And today it's not. I think we've got much more sense these days about the natural world.
Each year, Matt Rayner, together with Tim Lovegrove, conduct a count to see how many spotted shags are left in the Hauraki Gulf, which these days exist in only 3 small colonies.
So we've come out to Pārekareka Island, which is the main stronghold in the Hauraki Gulf for the spotted shag, which in the Auckland region anyway is an endangered species. Nationally, they're not regarded as an endangered species. There's probably tens of thousands around the South Island coastline. But up here, we've got this curious little northern population which is quite isolated.
Oh, there's a bird there too.
Right down low.
See its head?
Yeah, just showing. Yeah.
It's a species we really don't know that much about. It's never been studied in terms of its biology up in the Hauraki Gulf. And we've recently done some genetics work with Otago University, has shown that these spotted shags are genetically distinct from the birds further south. So they're actually, they're Hauraki Gulf endemics.
We've probably only got around about 300 pairs left. And the nearest spotted shags to here are actually down on the Wellington coast, around Kapiti Island. So we've got this huge gap, a 600 kilometre gap almost of their distribution. Now we think possibly over this side the declines could be related to food supply.
So we've been using these little markers called stable isotopes. Every year a bird will molt its feathers, it'll grow new feathers. And when it grows those feathers, these little chemical signatures of nitrogen and carbon are stored in the feathers. And also when you use museum specimens, you can look at those feathers over time. So you can see how the diet of those birds has changed over time. And that seems to be particularly relevant here in the Hauraki Gulf.
That's a classic little grotto in there, isn't it, with those birds up there? Yeah.
I'm really interested in finding out what's going on with these birds and see if we can arrest some of the declines that seem to be happening.
As part of the museum's conservation efforts, Matt and his team are trying to create a new colony for the shags on Otata Island in the Noises Island group. Specimens that were shot on the Noises a century ago are forming the basis of a decoy colony in the hope of attracting young birds from the 2 remaining sites.
We're here painting the 3D models of the spotted shags. These models were printed from specimens held in the collection, so we 3D scanned them and printed them in plastic resin polymer. We've got our wonderful volunteers here that the museum is blessed to have. Our artists, painting away, aren't we guys? The aim is to turn our white printed shags into as realistic an object as possible.
Whatever we do in the museum is lovely work, but this is especially good, and it's quite a surprise to some of us. But it's fun and lovely and we're enjoying it.
There were colonies of these spotted shags on the Noises Islands, and there haven't been for quite some time, for decades and decades. But yeah, these birds were collected from there, they were breeding there, and we're hoping to return them, get them back there, which would be pretty cool.
With the birds ready to go, Matt and Tim have travelled to Otata Island to spend the week installing the decoy colony, with the help of the Noirata family, who own the island and are themselves avid conservationists.
Okay, Matt, where are we going to put this one? Standing bird, nicely visible from the sea. About there somewhere? Just hold it up. We spent the last couple of days here setting up our wonderful spotted shag decoys here on the northern side of Otata. So we've got this fantastic craggy slope here, which is perfect spotted shag nesting territory. And this is where they used to breed up into the 1970s and early 1980s. And so the idea is to try and recreate a colony here so the decoy birds are here as a visual lure for the birds that are going past. And then when they spot the decoys, they'll be attracted to land on some of these craggy ledges around here.
And we splashed There's fake poo in the form of white paint around. And any birds that are out there a long way off, they're not going to see these models first. They're going to see that white guano, and hopefully that'll interest them and draw them in. So this is part of a bigger part of work that we're doing with the Noroita family on the Noisies, which is trying to bring back some of the life that was once here.
The spotted shag project's pretty innovative and pretty cool, because we used to have spotted shags when I was a kid out at the Noises, but they disappeared in the 1980s. Yeah, we're very hopeful it will encourage them back.
There we go. Well, I'll get the back here. Nice looking bird.
It's not moving.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's very, very rewarding, really, when especially when these things work, and also to have the opportunities to look at these spectacular birds. They're gorgeous-looking birds, and just to work with the species and set up a colony like this and try and fool them.
The museum for many years in its bird hall had displays just like this, made out of paper mache, with birds roosting on cliffs like this. And the irony is, some of those birds were shot, collected from the Noisies Islands for displays around the turn of the century, around 1913. So museums are adapting and changing, and this whole use of 3D printing technology to create these artificial dummies is a pretty interesting circular route to get back to conservation. I won't say it's a world first because I'm not sure, but it's close to. No one's that we know of has tried to attract shags to a new colony using 3D printed plastic shags and fake poo, but fingers crossed, hopefully in 2, 3, 4, 5 years there's actually spotted shags on the site breeding again. That would be pretty awesome. Yeah.